Hey everybody, today is September 18th, 2018. It is Tuesday. I just finished taking Gracie back. I had a friend of mine. I gave an analogy of something. It was pretty long actually, and they're like, you should actually let more people know it because it makes a little more sense. Um, However, I don't exactly know where to start to do it on a live feed. I kind of was telling people about it when I was one of my friends. He was having a hard time, but he was getting the wrong impression of a few things. So I wanted to talk with him to give him a different analogy or a different viewpoint on looking at different stuff. Now, a lot of people, they hear me talking and they hear me giving advice, and they always tell me to be positive and always work hard, always continue your education and stuff like that. One of the things is I am a Catholic, but I have friends that are agnostic, atheist, Jewish, Muslim, Hindi, just basically every type of religion you can imagine. I've got friends in, and I love these friends. Okay. And so when I hear all the negativity, I'm not left wing and I'm not right wing. I've got a family that's majority Democrat, but they're Reagan Democrats, and they like to be conservative, and they don't like everything going on TV. In other words, we look at things the way they are, not the way people want you to appear them to be. And I gave a good example of when somebody was down and out, they weren't looking hard enough at certain things, of different things. Okay? And I don't want to know what that comment was that somebody just put on there, but okay. It had to do with perspective. Perception, sorry. Perspection. What viewpoint do you see? And so a lot of people are familiar with Jesus Christ. So take religion completely out of the analogy. Okay? And look at Jesus, and when he was basically being crucified by the Romans. But don't look at it through Jesus' viewpoint. Don't look at it through Mary's viewpoint. Look at it through his dad's viewpoint. Okay? And you'll see it's a completely different viewpoint. So when we're sitting there watching, I'm going to make this one go a little fast. So I'll kind of go over just real quick with you, okay? Because I can be long and drawn out sometimes by pure mistake. So Jesus gets tortured. He gets whipped down to the bone. They put a crown of thorns on him, all because he had a different thinking process. I don't want to say belief, because when you're the son of God, your belief is different. Now he had a different thinking process, and he believed in his dad, okay? So his dad told me how to do this. So his dad is watching him go and get beaten, oops, hold on. There you go. And how does a father react when they see their kid being tortured, okay? They're putting they're embarrassing him, yelling at him, okay. Now he's got to carry his own basically electric chair, his own torture device, and his own death sentence with him. And so he's walking up there and everything else. Still at the same time, he's like, nope, my dad told me I had to do this. My dad has a bigger plan for me. So here he falls 3 times. Nobody can help him up. He's getting beaten, whipped. They pull a guy out of the crowd. Said, help him with the cross. Okay, I do that. So he's crawling these little these little rock pathways. If you ever been over where this takes place, you can see that their streets are very, very small. It's not like highways or anything like that. He's got people spitting at him, throwing things at him. Everybody hates the guy just because the media at the time, the news at the time, the fakes at the time, the politicians at the time needed to make this guy into the most hated person around. And as a father, how do you look at that? How do you look at somebody that purposely is being lied on, spit on, tramped upon to settle a politician's viewpoint on things? Anyway, as a father, you get mad. You would just be burning up inside. And the whole purpose was to save humanity, so you got to look even deeper. Okay, so get to the cross. They pound nails to this guy's wrist or his hands. There's a debate on that. But think about the nails pulling down on the bone, the tendons. Okay, you got this crown on. They're slamming your head against this wood with this crown on. So those thorns are going in the back of your head. And they're tying it to it. Then gravity is now, as they're pulling you up, is pulling you down. I mean, the Romans were known for this brutality. They did this in mass all the time. This is not something, they did accurate documents on this. Okay, so here's Jesus on the cross. And he's basically got a sinner on one side. He got this guy for forgiveness. And he's being tortured. I mean, if you were the dad looking at this, what would you do? Seriously, what would you do? Well, then right before he dies, he looks up to heaven and says, Father, why thou hast forsaken me? Now all of a sudden your kid's looking at you, blaming you for it. And it's terrible. Because that gut feeling of, what did I just do? Okay, now look at Abraham, going to sacrifice his son. Okay, I get that. So if I was like, what's my point in this? My point is this. What everybody missed out of the entire story is why it happened. We looked at it through the viewpoint of everybody but who we need to look through the viewpoint of. Jesus believed in his dad. His dad stayed the course, but not because you think. He stayed the course because he had to, and he's not mean, he's not cruel, you know, he doesn't want people suffering. But what they didn't see, okay, they didn't see a woman from the crowd come out and wipe his face and try to, like, encourage him, you know, where it's okay, wipe his face. Okay? They didn't see the guy that helped him carry the cross, even though he didn't want to. He could have said no and got punished and nothing would have happened. But he came out and helped carry the cross. They did not see the certain people within the crowd that were like, what are we doing here? But they were scared. They saw the Roman soldiers sit there and desecrate the body by stabbing, you know, the spear through Jesus' side. The Roman soldiers giving him vinegar. Okay, great. As a father, you'd be mad. But what they didn't see is the person on his right asked for forgiveness. But God saw it. There's a reason. Can you forgive me? As of today, you'll be led into heaven. The other guy on the other side's like, oh, if your dad's so great, let him get you off the cross. Come on now, you must be, you know, just like the devil did. The devil was constantly tempting him. But what God saw was the other guy. Can you forgive me? Please forgive me. He saw the woman. He saw the people after they came off the cross where all of a sudden it's done, it's over with. All the naysayers that were just listening to the media at the time, they were listening to the negative stuff at the time, all of a sudden they were gone. Because why? It's done, it's over with, he's dead. What they didn't see were the people pick him up and clean his body, put him in the tomb, and cover him. You know, they didn't just throw him in there, they covered him. Somebody had to take care of him. And these are things that God saw. Why should man be saved? It takes the act of kindness from one person to show that there's hope. Now, I know everybody's got their own reasons, but if you think about it, we need to be the woman that washes the face. Jesus used to dine and feast with sinners, with rich, with poor, and even wash their feet. Why? To show that this earth means nothing. It's what you do in eternity to be forgiven, you know? I mean, all these people are like, oh, well, I'll sort it out when I die. No, you got to kind of sort it out now. You want eternal damnation? You want to be tortured? I mean, there's a reason why all this stuff happens. There's a reason why we have these stories, and there's a reason why you can take different viewpoints from it, but they all lead to one area. Something happened because you're important. Something happened because you're a matter. Somebody thought so much of you that their one and only child had to die. Now, as a father, even if our kids hate us, if they were to call as a father and how much I love my daughter, I think about it, I'd be there in a heartbeat. Abraham was stronger than me. I couldn't kill my only child for a belief that nobody else wants to believe in. So my viewpoints are not as strong as people, and I admit that. But to be a father and to watch your children get tortured, punished, think of what, think about it. It is your creation. And everybody forgets to look at it through God's eyes, what he had to watch and endure. But guess what? Every time that he probably would have bailed his son out, his son, Jesus, was strong enough to say, hey, I'm okay. I got this, Dad. You said this had to happen, Dad. Hey, Dad, my faith is in you. I believe it. He wasn't acting like God. He's not God. He's Jesus, the Son of God. And he basically said, this what is has to be done. But, it started with people hating him. It started with the betrayal of his best friend, Judas. His best friend, mind you. This is what people forget to do also. His best friend betrayed him. As a parent, we get mad at that. The Roman soldiers came and got him. One of them cuts off an ear. Jesus picks up, put it back on, and said, no, Dad, I got this. I got this. This has to be done. Dad, I believe it. He believed in his dad before we believed in his dad. And he's like, I got this, Dad. I know it has to be done. Okay, son, you're doing it. Me, I would have been like, oh, hell no. He gets beaten and tortured, whipped. I mean, think what happened when that kid over in, I forgot what country it was, that got whipped with that bamboo cane, and how everybody in America was trying to prevent it from happening. It was just a beating. Now all of a sudden, look at Jesus on here, sitting there tied to a post and beaten to the bone with whips. Crown of thorns because, oh, you're the king. He never said he was the king. All he said was, you know what? He without sin, throw the first stone. What is Caesar's is Caesar's, and what is God is God. I mean, he never did anything to even upset the state and the country. All he did was live by example. And they're like, nope, we got to kill the guy. Kill an innocent person. Let me think. What's going on here? We blame cops for the sins of one. We blame our past, things that happened to us in the past that we don't even know about, so we can get ahead in the future. And we don't look at each other like equals because it's too hard to look at each other as equals because, we got to have something for free. Yet here, hey, Dad, I got this. Dad, I got this. Dad, you never gave up on me. I know that, but you never gave up. I'm here, Dad. I got you. Dad, I'm not. I watch my dad, what I've put him through and everything else. The man never gave up on me. I watch what a father's love can do, and I look at my daughter and how I understand that her mom and I are not together, and I'm a single dad, and I watch what I would do for my daughter and how much it pains me to think if my daughter's even sad. 2 little boys walk in my yard, and all of a sudden my blood pressure's up, and I'm ready to freaking go crazy on some little boys that are like freaking 7 and 8 years old, or maybe 10 or something. I'm like, the dad in me, and now all of a sudden you look at Jesus like, hey, Dad, I got this. 30 years old in his 30s. Hey, Dad, I got this. Walking up, falling down over and over again, being beaten. He's like, no, Dad, I got this. I got to get back up. Summoning strength down inside him. Hey, Dad, I got this. A woman comes and washes his face, puts a little hope for humanity in his heart. Another man helps carry the cross. A couple people in the crowd, I'm sure, were like, we love you. Hope. I got this, Dad. I believe you, Dad. Get to the cross and you're pounding crap into your son. You're basically, giving the guy vinegar, not water. You're just you're adding insult to injury. You're mocking him just because you can. Look, I'm a Roman soldier. I'm bigger and better, Then when the body's dead, you desecrate it by shoving the spear of destiny into the side because, let's make sure he's dead, By the way, that vinegar stings on every single part of your body because you got blood and open wounds and blisters from everything else that happened. You're forgetting that vinegar is running down his body. Dump vinegar on open sores sometime. Watch what happens. The most pain of his life, and he has a guy telling him, hey, if you want your dad, if you believe your dad so much, tell me to get you down off this damn thing. Hey, you know what? I don't care. I'm a murderer. I'm whatever I'm up here for. But then a guy on the other side, when Jesus is at his worst, hey, can you forgive me? I can forgive you, and the gates of heaven will be open for you. As he died, then the worst thing possible to a kid that could ever happen. Father, why for thou hast forsaken me? Why for thou hast forsaken me? So think about that for a minute. Now you're yelling at your dad like, I did all this for you, and you never once stopped anything. But the pain was so bad that he was no longer in his right mind, meaning he did it, and he kept reminding his dad, don't touch me. Even when the pain gets so bad and I'm begging, do not save me. Don't save me because this has to be done. Don't save me because later on in life, people need it. When they lose all hope, there's got to be that one person that shows hope. There's got to be that one person that shows faith, that it'll start out as a piece of sand and or start out as a piece of salt and eventually turn into the oceans. And the oceans take up 75% of their continent. Kindness, forgiveness comes from somebody that gave up their most precious item, their son. Look at it from the dad's point of view. Look at it as in, at any time, if there wasn't hope in the world, he could have saved his son, because why would I worth that? Why is that worth that? Jesus is the only person on earth that believes. Well, guess what? You know what? We don't need this. All it took was one belief in a dream, and something that nobody was ever even taught. And that's where it came from. Religious or not, that story, think about it. One man taking on the world. Not because of guns or violence or because he hated the Romans but just to show, look, if I can go through all this, then at least you can say a kind word today. At least you can forgive your neighbor, At least you can be more today than who you were yesterday. Anyway, I gotta go inside. I'll talk to everybody in a little bit. Bye.